There comes a moment in every person's life where breaking becomes unavoidable. Not because they are weak, but because growth demands that something inside them cracks open. That moment often feels lonely, confusing, and unfair. But it is in that exact moment where the real transformation begins. When everything around you feels heavy and nothing makes sense, you are being pushed toward a version of yourself that cannot exist without the pressure. The world won't understand this turning point. They might think you are fading or falling behind, but inside something powerful is forming. The silence you sit in becomes the training ground for your future. The emotion you struggle with becomes the sandpaper that shapes your character. The pain you carry becomes the spark that forces a new level of strength. Growth doesn't announce itself with fanfare. It arrives quietly, in the discomfort you'd rather avoid. There is a kind of loneliness that changes people forever. Not the loneliness that makes you feel forgotten, but the kind that forces you to face your reality without distraction. When you step away from noise, validation, and constant comparison, you finally see the truth of your life. You see where your discipline slips. You see where your potential leaks. You see how much time you've wasted chasing approval instead of building direction. That honesty hurts, but it is necessary. It strips away excuses and reveals exactly who you've been and who you must become. In that silence, you learn something crucial. Not everyone around you is meant to stay. Some people were only meant to be lessons. Others were meant to be reminders, and the rest were meant to be removed entirely. Loneliness becomes the filter that cleans your life and resets your priorities. Pain becomes a teacher once you stop trying to run from it. Every setback, every disappointment, every betrayal becomes a message. These aren't random experiences designed to break you. They are lessons crafted to rebuild you into someone sharper and more aware. When life pushes you down, it's showing you the parts of your foundation that were never stable. When people leave, it's revealing who was holding you back instead of helping you rise. When things don't go your way, it's redirecting you towards something you weren't ready for before. Pain exposes weaknesses you've ignored. It highlights habits that destroy progress. It forces you to look at yourself without filters. And when you finally accept those lessons, pain stops being an enemy and becomes fuel for the comeback you didn't know you were capable of. Discipline grows in the places where motivation dies, when the excitement fades, when the rewards disappear, when the path gets repetitive. That's when real character forms. Discipline is built in the moments no one sees. The early mornings, the quiet nights, the repeated effort on days when you feel empty. That's where the turnaround begins. Not in dramatic speeches or sudden inspiration, but in the simple decision to keep showing up. Each act becomes a vote for the person you want to become. Each choice becomes proof that you refuse to stay where you are. Discipline is not about perfection. It's about consistency. It's about choosing actions that align with your future, even when your emotions don't. When discipline replaces mood, your life becomes unstoppable. Clarity comes only after chaos has stripped away everything unnecessary. When you've been broken, you no longer cling to illusions. You no longer chase opinions. You no longer attach your worth to acceptance. Instead, you begin to build from the inside out. You start choosing commitments aligned with the future you want instead of the validation you crave. You begin removing habits that drain you and replacing them with habits that fortify you. The noise that once controlled your mind loses its grip. You start understanding what matters and what never did. That clarity builds a new standard for your life. A standard that demands growth, not comfort. A standard that demands progress, not excuses. Confidence returns in a quieter form. It's no longer loud, exaggerated, or forced. It grows through evidence. Each disciplined choice strengthens your self-respect. Each small victory rebuilds the trust you once lost in yourself. Confidence becomes a natural result of doing the work no one sees. It becomes a steady force, not something you perform. When confidence comes from effort instead of ego, it can't be taken from you. People might question your decisions, but they cannot shake your certainty. They might misunderstand your silence, but they cannot deny your progress. Confidence built through consistency becomes unbreakable. Solitude turns into strength. What once felt empty becomes the place where you sharpen your purpose. You stop looking for people to save you because you finally see that the person you've been waiting for is the one you're becoming. You learn to lead yourself through discomfort. You learn to solve your own problems. You learn to carry your own weight. Solitude stops being punishment and becomes a laboratory for improvement. In that space, you stop wishing for support and start becoming someone who doesn't need it. And that transformation is where real freedom starts. Momentum builds slowly at first, then suddenly. Small wins stack into bigger ones. Consistent effort compounds into results that once felt impossible. As your momentum grows, so does your awareness. You begin noticing how far you've come without bragging about it. Your decisions become sharper. Your focus becomes cleaner. Your energy becomes protected. While others waste their time trying to be seen, you're too busy becoming undeniable. Momentum makes you dangerous because it turns ordinary days into unstoppable progress. The return is never about proving people wrong. The return is about proving your past self right. The version of you that didn't quit. The version of you that held on. The version of you that believed there was something more. When you rise again, you do it with intention. You do it with control. You do it with humility and power woven together. The comeback becomes a statement, not because you announced it, but because your presence now carries a weight you didn't have before. And in the end, the story becomes simple. You stepped away, rebuilt yourself, sharpened your identity, strengthened your discipline, and returned with a force that cannot be denied. Not because of luck, not because of validation, but because you earned a new version of yourself through silence, struggle, and self-mastery. That is what makes the rise undeniable.